Just so you guys know, me and Nina have done a panel before in
I
Chicago once upon a time.
was gonna say, I was like, this is our second panel together now.
Yep, doing it.
He he still refers to you as the girl that doesn't like one sheets.
Yeah.
Outdated as fuck.
Yeah.
Not the way I do them. Not the way I do them.
Okay, fair. There is a modern way to do one sheets, but if you're still sending me a PDF one sheet, I will scream.
But what about the clickable ones? Those are fancy.
Just build them into a website.
Yeah, I guess. But what if you have I guess if you don't have Wi-Fi, then you can't click the links anyway. So then it won't matter.
Yeah, just build them into the websites. Make your EPKs suitable for mobile version. People read them on the trains.
Right.
Works much better.
I get that, but you got to remember the rest of the world isn't at that level. Like when I was in Memphis to try and get someone to respond via email, it was impossible. Like you had to show up at the joint, knock on their front door, take them a snack, shake their hand, ask them about their family.
EPK doesn't even mean anything.
But what I'm saying is that it's a step up. So they're like getting to that century. You're acting like the whole world acts like Chicago and New York, but that's not the case. When you are there, yeah, there are going to be people that know what they're doing.
For the money.
But anyway,
Let's live.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, welcome. Today, we're on 3 now. Day 3.
Are we live?
Entertainment. We're live. Yeah.
Right.
We
like
live, we
Rogan.
recording. We got some people in the room, good amount of people. Thank you for showing up. We'll have room for questions later, things like that. But I just want to get started with the bulk of this. But welcome to Entertainment Lockdown. We're talking about live events specifically, and where all the attention is going on the lack of these live events. And I've got some amazing people here to chat with you. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm just going to intro each of you, and then I'll have specific questions for each of you after that. And we'll just kind of open the floor and just have a conversation. Does that sound cool?
Sounds great.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Well, I will start top left with my guy, Vinny Hines. He is the co-owner here at Artist Collective. He's an independent artist himself. He's played over thousands of shows worldwide. Gigs actively. I'm pretty sure one a day. I've seen you sometimes. But he also acts as a talent buyer, so he can kind of see both ends from artist to talent buyer and everything in between. Thank you for joining, Vinny.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited. I'm really, really proud of what we're doing with these, with the Entertainment Lockdown in specific, just because I have been in an emotional panic for the past, 2 weeks trying to figure this out. And I have access to people like the quality of people that are in our panel on a daily basis. I can call up cats that are at the top of the food chain and get the skinny, and I've still been panicked. So I feel really proud that we're bringing this information under this lockdown to people. So I hope I can be of use.
Absolutely. Thank you. And next I've got Nina Swint. She provides tour experiences for artists, booking, promoting, financing, everything related to performing on the road. I knew her here in Chicago where she promoted lots and lots of local shows. So she, I'm sure, definitely feels this live event cancellation. Thank you, Nina, for coming. All right, got BJ Olin, managing artist for over 16 years. Former clients include Alan Stone for about 8 years, who was nominated for a Grammy. BJ also spent 3 years at Red Light Management in LA, and he currently manages Cinders and Old Man Saxon. I'd say that right?
You did, yes.
Okay, great. Who's from Netflix's Rhythm and Flow.
Yes.
Cool. Thanks for coming, BJ. I'm glad we connected.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And last but certainly not least, I've got Leonard Patterson. He's the former manager and frontman of a 6-figure indie band, a booking agent, and thousands of shows under his belt, and a certified digital marketer. And along with 25 years in the industry. And right now he started Indie Band Coach, which is how I connected with him, which helps musicians with their online presence. So thank you, Leonard, for coming.
Thank you very much. And Old Man Saxon should have won. I'm just like, okay.
I don't get me started. Don't get me started. You know, they paired him up with D-Smoke, who won for the battle. I don't want to talk about
BJ,
sorry.
side note, I actually got my golden ticket on American Idol singing Sleep by Alan Stone.
Get out of here.
And I met him at LAX a week later, and I got to hug him and tell him all about it. I probably was one of those fan freaks, but I'm an Alan. He's literally my favorite vocal artist. So
What
the
year
fact
was
that
this?
this was 15. Year 15.
Okay, I parted ways with him in 14.
Mhm.
Dude, I literally found him in a coffee shop in Seattle in like 07.
He's the second coming of Stevie Wonder, if you ask me.
Seriously.
I would agree. I would agree. I love that dude.
Good
Yep.
find. Good find.
Good.
He
Yeah.
was just performing in a coffee shop.
He was opening for a friend of mine named Brandon Gorley, who lives in Seattle. I was living in Seattle at the time, and Brandon was like, come see my show, and I was like, cool. Full disclosure, Brandon had sent me 2 demos that Alan had recorded. And do you guys remember Gavin DeGraw's Chariot?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both of these songs, I still have them on an old laptop somewhere, sounded exactly, note for note, like Gavin DeGraw's Chariot that Alan wrote. And they were horrible. Horrible. Anyway, so I go to see Brandon's show and Alan's opening, and that's when I was like, this guy's got a decent voice. I don't know.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever watched Rhythm and Flow. Maybe one of the episodes.
I've only
never-
watched the one that Saxon was on, and that was because I started managing him a month ago. So the show aired in October, which means they shot it like the year before. So it's been a minute, but yeah, when I was starting to get in talks with him, I watched only the episodes he was in, and I loved it.
Nice.
You'll notice that like
Check it out.
in the LA audition episode, he doesn't hardly talk at all. Because they told him that anything that he says on camera, they can edit it however they want. And so he approached it as this, well, if I don't give you content, you can't chop it up.
Mhm.
So I'm just going to not say anything. Kind of brilliant.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Yeah, reality TV is something else, but
Yeah.
that's a whole nother chat.
Yeah, which we should have, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm down.
And last but not least, I'm your host, AC Evan, I'm the owner here at Artist Collective. I'm a manager, mentor. I started booking, promoting shows for about 7 years when I was like 14. So I definitely can see, the issues that are happening with these live events being canceled. So thank you all for being here. Well, let's get down to it. I've got there's a template of questions that I'm going to just throw at each of you just to kind of give everybody listening a bird's eye view, kind of where you're at, what your day-to-day looks like, and how this has, directly impacted you. So let's start with Nina. Ladies first.
Hi everyone, I'm Nina. I'm currently in Chicago, but I live in New York. Came to spend some time with my family since my office is closed and we are all working from home. My typical day-to-day in the office includes, let's say, like coordinating tours, routing dates, grabbing holds. I work directly under an agent in our office, so just making sure that everything that he's working on runs smoothly. The pandemic has sent me to the office closed, and right now we're just working on, we're kind of trying to beat this unknown date of when tours can start happening again. So originally when the pandemic started, we were rerouting things for late spring, and now it seems like we can't really open anything till September. So we're just on standby, just trying to make sure things fit in between other tours or just get canceled. And it's been a lot different than just actively booking and settling out.
Right. So you're not booking anything before September right now.
We have a few things in the summer. So we're currently battling against holds of currently held tours and rescheduling tours.
Gotcha.
So we're keeping all of our summer things, but we're not really trying to move things into the summer.
Right. And I also foresee issues happening where as soon as this is released, like, hey, everything's good now, I feel like those holds are just going to get like, everybody's going to attack all these venues at once. Like, hey, I want my tour back, or I want this date back. Do you foresee anything like that happening?
I feel like it's a 50-50 shot because a lot of these tours are bigger tours that are moving later in the year. We have routing tours, like tours going to and from the starts of other tours that are just all up in the air. And right now we're just trying to make sure our artists are in the best spot for when touring becomes possible again. Their tours are safe, their tours are secure.
Gotcha.
And some venues are holding off on challenging and confirming dates while other venues want their calendars full. So it's a lot of juxtaposition of like, should we confirm these surrounding dates if we don't know if that venue will ever confirm us?
Right. How are your artists handling this?
So I was originally in Chicago last week for some clients. We had an artist in the middle of their final ever tour, worried about their final show in their hometown canceling. I had never met him before, but I had to sit there in the green room the whole show, talking him down, being like, it's okay, we're going to make this work. Don't worry about it. It's not that bad. For then the next day, the news get worse, and there was a lot at first of us convincing our artists that it was going to be fine to keep your shows, we'll make it work, to then having to break the news that we were canceling everything.
Mm.
And that was really difficult, trying to be that secure rock for your artist while also being realistic on what's legal. Some venues weren't even allowed to host shows anymore because they were too big of a venue.
Right. And I assume you were getting the breaking of contracts being because it was an act of God. Is that kind of the overall census from everybody with contracts?
I would say there was at that point, we care about our promoters. We care about our bands. We want long-lasting relationships. We were not hung up over the contract price. We're returning deposits. We're rescheduling. We're doing our best to make the most of the situation. We're in a pandemic. We can't hold our promoters. We can't hold them accountable for money when no one knows what's going on, and we want to reschedule. So we weren't really like fighting with anyone about contracts. We're really just trying to find the best path for everyone to get through this.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. All right, BJ, how about you?
I am located in Orem, Utah. It's about 30 miles south of Salt Lake City. I'm a single dad, and this is where my daughter is, so this is where I am. I have no ties to Utah, but here I am. Other than Cinders. Now I manage Cinders. They're based here. So that's why actually that's subsequently to why I moved here. Anyway, my average day now, or do you mean in general, normally, minus pandemics?
Yeah, both.
Okay, like pandemics aside, my normal day is, planning out the next 6 to 12 months of an artist's life and figuring out, content, release schedules, what touring we're doing, how to maximize every show and every opportunity, and turning one thing into two and two into four, and so on and so on. My day right now looks like I don't set an alarm anymore, at least currently. I finished the entire series of Entourage on Sunday. Not all in one day. I just meant over the course of a few days. Binge watching a lot of TV right now. And then just trying to figure out how we're moving everything, which brings us to how the pandemic has impacted me personally, or at least my clients. Cinders, thankfully, they are in a position right now where they're working on a new album. So we were already planning and routing their fall tour. We had one South by Southwest showcase confirmed, and so when everything sort of started, it was me calling the band and saying like, hey, there seems to be a thing, but we're not flying. We're going to be in the van, which is the first time in my career I was actually looking forward to being in a van versus an airplane. I said, so we should be fine. It'll be fine. And then I think like 2 days later, South by Southwest canceled, which I think is the thing that sent all of us, I assume, into like this huge, like, oh, this shit is real. I don't know. Can we curse?
Yes.
Okay, good.
We both said that.
I think that was the moment where we were all like, oh, like this is a thing. Like this is real. there was even part of me that was like, South by is overreacting. Like, relax. It's all going to be fine. But like, there's this looming like, oh no, this might be like an actual issue. And it was still like, cause our only thing was an unofficial showcase at South by. So I called Hannah at Geraldine's in Austin, and I said, we still want to do it. I called the band. I was like, we're still going to do it. I think there's going to be a lot of people still going. I'm seeing on my social media, Facebook and Instagram, that people are still going, agents and managers and whatever. I was like, we're still going to go. And then probably like 48 hours after that, I was like, no, we shouldn't go. Well, we're just going to pull the plug. And then it was a matter of like, Old Man Saxon had shows on the books, like this coming weekend, he was playing a couple shows in Colorado where he's from. And then we have stuff all through April that we had to move. Right around the time that South by canceled, I was routing a tour with an agent of another band that Cinders is touring with, doing a co-headline with in the fall. And I just remember emailing him and saying, like, we need to like speed up our efforts here for September, because I have a feeling that everything is going to start domino affecting shows canceling in the spring, which means we have the fall is, as we all know, the fall is like so busy of a time for touring. And then what you have is like the double traffic of all the cancellations and reschedules from spring and early summer, trying to get September, October holds, because no one wants to tour in like December, January. So I remember emailing him and being like, we need to do this quick, because I had first hold LA, first hold on a Friday, Saturday in Salt Lake City, where Cinders is from, a first hold in Chicago. I mean, I had like first holds everywhere, all these major markets. And he hadn't really had any holds yet in the Midwest. And by the time he got around to it, it was like fifth hold, sixth hold. Now I'm hearing, venues are like 9, 10, 11 hold. And I think the biggest hold I've ever had clear was House of Blues Boston, 2014 Alan Stone 12th hold, which is unheard of, as you guys know. So now it's sort of figuring out, well, September and October might be just gone because it's so heavy traffic. I just got word from the venue in Salt Lake City where, Cinders will sell it out. We're doing 2 nights. And they don't have anything that they can confirm until December 18 weekend. So, your Christmas, it's holidays, you're shut down. That's the earliest hold they can give us.
Wow. And
repeat that date one more time.
What's that?
December 18th.
December 18, 19, whatever that Friday, Saturday is.
Oh,
that's the earliest I can get. Because, we want to do, when we do hometown shows, there's a lot more of like a strategy that goes into this. I want to do a Friday or Saturday in our hometown. I want to do a 1+1. Hopefully none of the fans are watching that knows that we're doing a 1+1. But we want to, we want to go on sale with the Friday, add the Saturday when it sells out. And we have, I should rephrase. We have September 18 and 19, I think, confirmed, but they moved this, what's called Kilby Court Block Party from May 2nd to August 29th, which for us is a great like promotional thing. It's soft tickets, whatever. So in order for us to do the block party, we then have to move our headline dates. And the soonest they can give us is mid-December.
Wow.
Yeah.
And for those listening that may not know what that, we've all been saying that term a lot, a hold. Can you explain what a hold is and how that kind of works?
Love to. Basically like this line of people that want dibs on a venue for any given night. So typically, and again, like I'm not an agent. Nina, you can chime in if I get anything wrong. Of course, I act as the agent for my clients who don't have agents, which is all of them normally early on. And I'm in Utah, so I can do that legally, I think. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But basically, if I want, let's say I want a Friday night in Seattle, I would typically look, that's my target date is a Friday. I would also get the venue's availability for the Thursday and the Saturday. Nina, do you usually do 3 days or is it more?
We do 3 days. Now with the pandemic, we're doing 5. We try not, like I said, we really respect our promoters, so I try not to be like overbearing.
Right.
Yeah. Pretty much it's just the line of people who potentially want to book that show or that date at the venue, and they just want to make sure all their dates line up first before confirming.
Right. So then what you have is on a 30, 40 date tour, you have all of these holds in all of these venues and all these markets. And sometimes you have holds at multiple venues in any given market because maybe you're trying to go up to a bigger room, or maybe you want to go and do an underplay somewhere. Obviously, like this is getting way more into it, but you have the promoter that has history in the market and you want to give them a first look, but maybe they don't have the avails that you need. So you can go to another promoter.
Money you want?
What's that?
Maybe they don't have the money you want, so you're getting competitive offers.
Right.
And on the flip side, if you're a talent buyer and you're in that situation, you want to get as many options for as many dates as you can, because from a talent buyer perspective, you don't want Alan Stone, Tyrone Wells, and Tony Luca back to back, because they are all three debatably the same fan base.
Right.
And so from a talent buyer perspective, you get all of these avails from 3 to 5 days so that you can start to go, okay, here's a metal show, here's a rock show, here's an acoustic
You want to
show.
curate your week. Right.
Right.
And then when let's say I want to move forward and confirm a date, then I would, let's say I'm third hold, I would then challenge the date with the promoter of the venue. And then they have to go to the first hold and say yay or nay. And that person has 24 hours to say yay or nay. If they say no, then they go to second hold, and they say no, they go to you and you say, all right, you've just been moved up to first hold. I want to talk about this. And I'll leave venues unnamed for their protection. But do you guys know about ghost holds? I love ghost holds.
First hold's not real.
First hold, sometimes it's not real. Not always.
I just assume that whole idea carries through everything. If someone says they have an offer waiting, they never do. You have to assume you're the only offer on the table. That's how the way I kind of operate.
Yeah. So if you're like seventh hold, I will say it was for this band Lawrence that I managed. They were sixth hold at a reputable LA venue. And we're like, there's no way this is going to clear, but I knew the promoter. And so she just moved us up to first hold because there's no first hold. I think I said that enough to keep the innocent parties out. So yeah.
I've heard the Viper Room does that a lot. But yeah, there's a lot of different venues that do that. And from a talent buyer perspective, I mean, it's kind of hard not to. I get that it could be, if you're coming to people and saying this is how the system works, I'm going to be legitimate about these holds, but you got to prioritize your business first and foremost. And
yeah. I mean, look, if you're the El Rey or whatever, or Hotel Cafe is a good example. This is 2008. But I mean, like John Mayer just like rolled up and did like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, you're going to get bumped. But if you're Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters wants to play a Friday night at the Troubadour, like they're going to do that. Like,
right.
Not, yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. I just wanted to kind of get some perspective on what holds are, because, some artists maybe haven't even booked shows yet. So they'd get that from a venue and be like, what the hell does that mean? I don't know what's happening now. So thanks for clarifying. Leonard, how about you, my man?
Yeah, I am located in Huntington Beach, California. I've been out here with my wife, and we're both in the industry, but we've been out here just 3 years now, so we're still getting used to the sunshine and the weather and all of that good stuff. I mean, getting used to it in a really good way. But we're from the Midwest, so we have a lot of friends and family back home that are like, chill out with the beach pictures, dude. So we kind of chilled out on that. Besides, we can't go out now anyway. So, but yeah, just in terms of like what my day looked like right before this started popping off, I was working with one of the live event websites that, basically it's a Gigmore that helps musicians book gigs and stuff. But we were planning these monthly showcases for their artists, and I was going to be hosting them and doing it at several venues here in LA and stuff like that. And that got shut down. And most of the work that I do with Indie Band Coach is coaching. So a lot of that stuff has continued with coaching calls and things like that, but the content of those calls has changed drastically, and it's gone from, you know, and just my background, was a booking agent for 17 years, and then prior to that was an e-learning developer for a couple of Fortune 500 companies, so like corporate training and stuff like that. And so a lot of the calls prior to this were, hey man, help us get our website up, help us get booked for shows, help us, get ready to get booked and that kind of thing. And most of my clients are still back in the Midwest. But now it is, hey man, we can't go anywhere. How can we actually make money? Because literally all of our shows just got canceled. And, it's really kind of a tough situation. There are some, and as we all know, we're all in different places, but, I'm working with some bands that are like, my wife and I we used to front our band, and we were doing 125 shows a year. I was the manager of the band and also a booking agent at the time. And we literally just had a conversation like, if this would have happened during that time for us, like we had two streams of income, both from the band, and then my booking agent job was all about live shows, like, there's no hot food, it's like we're done. But she's actually working she actually worked at USC, and one of the silver linings, and speaking of the day to day now, one of the silver linings for us is that on a given day that was like a 90-minute to 2-hour commute for her coming from Huntington Beach up to LA. So silver lining is she's just in the other room now working from home. And so it's kind of a good thing. And the other part of it is we have a 6-month, actually, my goodness, 7th-month-old now. And so my day-to-day is basically all three of us, my wife and my son, negotiating what our schedule is going to be. So when she's got calls, if he's not asleep, I'm hanging with my son and doing stuff. And so, there's a lot of give and take with my clients and my schedule, and I'm picking out little pockets of hours here and hours there to do different things like that. But yeah, and I have some clients that I work with that literally had St. Patrick's weekend, and a couple of cover bands that are that's their living. And it's St. Patrick's weekend, and there was like six nights in a row, and I'm also acting as a couple of agents, so I was also counting on a little, like, here's a little daycare buffer. What? Gone. So it's like, okay, cool. So it's definitely been, this is kind of cool. My wife's home, we're hanging, we're doing stuff, but this totally sucks. So it's really just still, even just a couple of weeks into it, just adjusting and, finding out what the new orders are today. I feel like we're being grounded by the government. Like, you've been bad. You've been, you cannot go outside and play, or in this county, you guys can go outside and play. Just stay apart. It's 50 people. Oh no, wait, sorry. That was yesterday. It's 10 people now. So just trying to keep up with that, keeping him home from daycare now and stuff that just kind of changes every day. And then also trying to manage being there for your clients and being there to help them transition stuff that they're not used to being online, and trying to help them not just make that transition, but try to monetize it in some way, shape, or form, just to kind of help, keep a couple of lights on, kind of thing. So
Absolutely. Cool. Thank you for sharing. What was I going to say? What do you think you would have done back then when you were fronting your band, before the live streaming? I'm not sure exactly how long ago it was, but like, what do you think you would have done?
Wow. Yeah. Honestly, I would have hit LinkedIn, and I would have hit Upwork and Fiverr, and I would have, and honestly, I literally just recommended this to a few people on a live, but it was, what, there's thousands of jobs out there online. You may not think that your skills are, people would pay for stuff that you just take for granted. But like, I honestly think that's what I would have done. It's like, okay, what are some things other than being on stage and helping other people get on stage? Like, what are some other things that I could do? So, I might have been looking for, and honestly, I have over the last couple of years off and on, but just researching like, corporate training jobs or online, learning types of platforms and stuff like that. Like I would have like kind of dug deep and been like, okay, what are my just non-music and or non-music related skills that I have, and then also kept an eye out on just like whatever jobs would be available. So it's
For sure.
it's
Yeah,
like,
we're always
don't worry,
pushing
get
to our.
scrappy.
What's that?
I said, yeah, don't worry, be scrappy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're always telling our clients to kind of dip into those other passions too. Like, do you paint? Do you, are you in, website development, things like that? Like, you should always be dipping into that, even when there's not an outbreak or a pandemic like this. So that's great. Cool, Vinny. You wanna catch everybody up to speed where you're located, what your day-to-day was before, what it is like now?
Yes, I'm in what they call the Space Coast of Florida, and that is basically when you get to the beach from Orlando. That's the whole area they call the Space Coast. NASA's there and all that action. So I'm about 5 minutes from the water. The beaches are shut down now. Spring break is over, according to the governor, as he so quaintly put it. Everything's shut down. We're not on shelter at home, but all of the restaurants are takeout only and to go only. All the bars and clubs were first to get shut down. And so for me, my typical day to day usually looks like about 3 to 4 hours of booking for Artist Collective clients, talent buying for some of our hotels, responding to all the emails of people trying to work with us. And on that side, all of it has turned to purely damage control. I probably have about another half a week ahead of me of damage control, just responding to the events that are continually canceling. And I was right in the middle of renegotiating for Q2 with most of my talent buying situations. And so obviously all Q2 negotiations are out the window. I don't know if those relationships will be there when this all blows over, because of the ways that budgets are going to be allocated completely differently moving forward. So I am really trying not to be the Armageddon apocalyptic sort of voice in the group, but it looks like I'm going to have to be that because of this new pandemic culture is going to radically rewire people's brains on how they look at capitalism, how much they value music and entertainment within their budgets, and even the idea of leaving people's homes. There's going to be an element of PTSD in the majority of Americans' brains going, I'm going to stay in. There's going to, the draw, I don't see the draw coming back the way as full as it ever was. I don't see live event budgets coming back the same way. I don't see in many of the states affected, I don't see 20% of the places that I eat and drink at being there when this is done. And that is the world that I'm trying to prepare for. That is the pandemic culture long term that I'm trying to get ahead of. I don't book tours and things like that. So most of my booking is either booking myself or as a talent buyer for like the Intercontinental Hotel in Chicago or Graceland or something like that. So all of those places were the first to shut down. And then all of my personal live music events outside of playing like 15 feet away from a to-go area, which I did yesterday, and it actually was really therapeutic. I'm pretty much locked down, and that's what the governor's telling us to do, is only go and get groceries and essentials at this point.
And it's also worth mentioning to everybody who doesn't know, a lot of these for your personal events for your music, a lot of the people you're dealing with aren't necessarily talent buyers, aka in the industry. You do private events, so you're just dealing with everyday people that are having weddings that are having to be moved and things like that. So you're not exactly dealing with a talent buyer who like knows what the how everything works. they're just kind of freaking out. I know you mentioned to me you had somebody even trying to cancel something for next year, right?
Everybody's basically sending out feelers via emails right now. From what I understand, at least in Florida, all of the wedding planners are saying anything booked until June needs to reschedule. Some people are ambitious enough to reschedule in August. I'm seeing mostly September. Some people looking at next year and pushing their wedding back a year simply so that they don't miss out on these deposits. But a lot of people are doing what Nina's doing and given, under the circumstances, giving all these deposits back and really focusing on the human condition more than the financial aspect of what will look like once we're through this.
Yeah, and actually, to Vinny, something that you said, which I actually had a conversation with a booking agent yesterday, was that when we're rescheduling some of these shows, where maybe we'll have a history in a market of like we sold 500 tickets. Now that we're going back into those markets after the pandemic, the promoters are now like, what's a good word for it? Readjusting history, basically saying like, oh, well, you did 500 before, but we're now going to put you in like a 250 cap room, because they don't know, to your point of like people being hesitant to go out, even when all of this stuff goes away, people are still maybe going to be a little bit skittish to like go into public large groups or whatever. So that's adjusting like the entire tour strategy of moving forward. Like, what rooms do you go into? How many nights do you do? Whatever. So
we're having a similar thing where, not really with room size, but with what money promoters are willing to offer up front.
Yep, the guarantees are
They're willing to give us a good back end to compensate for the fact that they're not as comfortable offering upfront money, because they're not sure if the band can sell out the same rooms after the pandemic.
And I would assume, correct me if I'm wrong, that it's also partly because they've lost so much money from March, April, May of income and revenue that they expected to have, that now they're like, we can't offer you a $2,000 guarantee because we don't have it, because it's gone, right?
And with refunding tickets, paying staff,
I mean, obviously we're not talking about like AEG or Live Nation per se.
AEG and Live Nation too are dealing with internally not even like putting holds on, or putting like a step back on offers in general, waiting to see how some more things shake out.
Live Nation might not be there when this is done. They tanked $1.8 billion in one day. The
stock was back up yesterday 14%. I don't know why I know that, and that's weird. Sorry.
Here's the thing. What I hope will happen, and well, that's a little bit deeper, but as far as like the companies like Live Nation, some of those might not be there, but the true fact of what this pandemic is going to kill, it's going to kill the freelance businesses first. These giant corporations with huge legal teams and bailouts ready to come to them, they're not going to be touched. They'll be able to weather the storm, especially under an administration that loves corporations and believes in that being the solution. So the freelancers, the 3 and 4 people operations, the 10 people operations, those are going to be the first to start thinning out. And like Leonard said, starting to look for other work. They're not that position anymore. They're a new guy. So a lot of the whole thing's in shuffle mode. And I think about 20% of the industry's people are going to not be there. Not as far as fatalities, but they're not going to be in this industry when the smoke clears.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too, that, we have all these contacts for all, like Nina has a bunch of contacts from across the country. Are all of those contacts still going to be agents? Are they still going to be working? Are you going to have to talk to a new person and create a brand new relationship because they decided to, go get a more steady job? So it's just something to think about. Interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because the agency that I work for still in the Midwest there, just between March 15th and the 31st, 140 gigs were gone from several artists. And then, again, trying to like reschedule and plan for, what the possibilities will be. A lot of those venues have only been around a year, and we're depending on, St. Patrick's weekend and some of these holidays and stuff like that for, just foot traffic and things like that. So it's like, not only is it going to be an effort to try and, backfill some of the finances, or, like what you're alluding to now with what are some live event alternatives, but it's like, you just mentioned, it's like, how many of those clubs are going to be there? How many of those, wedding coordinators who were, solopreneurs who had this really cool business that were able to just line stuff up? How many of those are still going to be there? Or, the brides that are like, you know what, we're just going to go to the courthouse whenever that opens up. We good. It's like,
How many relationships are going to weather this storm? How many people are going to cancel their wedding after having to spend 2 months in the same room with them?
right.
Yeah.
Right. It's like honeymoon first. I don't think so, man.
Weddings got a 30% cancellation rate already. 30% of weddings never actually happen. So I'm very
30%, like pre-pandemic. That's a
pre-pandemic. Yeah, it's rounding up to the nearest 10, but yeah, I think it's like 27.
50%, right?
Rounding up.
And then 50% or 60 fail after that. So it's a really fantastic industry to be in. A lot of return customers.
lot of return. Yeah, like multiple.
Yeah. I take 50% deposits on every wedding. After I read that, I was like, oh man.
1 out of 4 weddings that are planned don't happen.
Right.
It's insane.
Yep.
It wouldn't be insane to me if you said 1 out of 4 people who get engaged end up not getting married. That I'd be like, yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, but I think Italians are kind of to blame. I'm Italian, so I'll speak for us. Because we got this thing we like to do where we get engaged but never get actually married, and then the woman gets fed up and leaves. Like, so the idea of an engagement ring in a lot of cultures is more just like a holding place.
Right.
Yeah.
Your first hold in that relationship.
Right.
Nice.
And then all the promise rings in the jewelry box, those are 5th
Sure.
and 6th holds. Yeah.
I went to high school in North Texas, and it was very, very like, I went to college at Texas Tech, and so we had this saying, and I say we in a very general sense because I did not. I was like the lone liberal in Lubbock, Texas, where Buddy Holly is from, and there was a saying that was ring by spring, which meant of your senior year, the goal was to have a engagement ring by the spring semester, and typically I'm talking like in the 90 percentile range. That what would happen is you graduate in May and you get married in June or July, and that was a plan of like 98% of the people that I went to school with. It was bonkers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeehaw.
Back to live events.
Yes. This is actually for Leonard, mainly because I know kind of what you're doing on the back end with Indie Band Coach. Like, what are some live event alternatives you've been telling your clients and your artists to kind of maybe refocus on a money standpoint and also just like an attention standpoint?
Yeah, a lot of the things that we've kind of dove into this past week are looking at different platforms, and then also looking at where your audience is. So there's a lot of opportunity for bands. Obviously, it can be as simple as go live on your Facebook page, put a PayPal.me link up there. Actually, there's artists prior to the pandemic, artists by the name of Don Byer in Nashville, and a couple others, but like literally are making money living off of Facebook Live, like just consistently. She's like touring. Well, she was touring and stuff like off of money that she was just making off of Facebook Lives, doing all original stuff. So she's someone that like, oh, that's something that's possible. But in addition to that, there's also, I've had a chance to interview Karen Allen. She wrote a book and has a course called Twitch for Musicians. And we've literally been diving a lot into Twitch and trying to talk about and just explore Twitch as a platform. And I've learned a lot in the last couple of weeks. I knew about Twitch. My brother-in-law is a game designer, so I knew about Twitch and that it was for gamers and all of that stuff. But within the last, pandemic couple of weeks, a couple of the cool things that have started to come to light is um, that Twitch is not just for gamers. There is actually a music category, a music community out there that is very supportive of music and musicians, covers, originals, all facets. And the big thing that I thought that was really interesting is how different it is than our traditional social media channels. And this is what literally my wife and I just started a Twitch channel last week. Like, my normal mode is to go into learning mode, go off and sequester myself, and then come out and create some, some course or something like that. Like, you know what? We don't have time for that. Let's just start a Twitch channel. We've been going live every week on our Twitch channel and Facebook page simultaneously, just learning as we go, just kind of learning along with everyone. But the big thing I thought was interesting with Twitch that I feel is really encouraging for the musician community is that it is very informal and it is very much about community. The gamification that obviously came with, being a gamer community at first, but the gamification of people being able to support an artist is what makes it really interesting. It's fun for viewers to give money. Things pop on the screen and, you give shout outs, and it's a lot different environment there. I think, what's the average? Oh, yeah, it's like if you're going to do an actual show or stream on Twitch, it's going to be 3 to 5 days a week to really get a good momentum. And each stream is going to be 2 to 4 hours. So it's 2 to 4 hours versus a 2 to 4 minute video that you might pop up on social media. So literally people are coming to hang out and just chill. And, Karen had actually worked with a couple of artists, and she said that, in a typical 2 to 3 hour stream, the artist might do 10 or 12 songs because they're just hanging out, they're talking, they're acknowledging, and they're having a really interactive just hang. And people are paying for the experience and the fun that is wrapped, that basically is the content is wrapped in the experience. Whereas the content is what we're promoting and what we're doing on social media. But it's like people are just paying to come and hang and have fun. And I'm really excited about the possibility.
No, that's awesome. Can you explain how the payment works on Twitch? Like how, if I go into your page, do I have to pay to enter the room? Is there a tip jar? How does that work?
There's a couple of different ways that works. When you first sign on as a streamer on Twitch, there are a few different levels, which even that has changed in the last couple of days. But there's a couple of different levels. First is you're just a streamer, and if someone comes and joins your stream, which they don't have to pay for, if they come and join your stream, they can, they'll enter their card and they can do PayPal or credit card or whatever, but they buy a currency and it's called bits. And so they can just buy those bits, and there's coins and there's all different ways to customize them and stuff like that. But they can contribute or tip you bits when you do something cool or when they just want to support you or whatever. And they can do that for you from day one, even if it's your first stream or whatever. Then as a streamer, there's certain criteria that you need to meet to become an affiliate. And the significance of becoming an affiliate is you can then, people can subscribe to your channel. So it's basically $5, $10, and $25 levels that they can subscribe to. The only difference in those levels are basically you can make custom emojis, which on Twitch they're called emotes, but you can make custom emotes, and people at different tiers get more of them and get more variety of them that they can throw back at you. So again, it's nothing too deep. It's not like a Patreon kind of thing where if you sign up for this level, then we're going to send you shirts and you get a download. It's literally a gamification of the support, and you get like cool stuff, and you get to interact and you get acknowledged and stuff like that. But the cool thing about that is that Twitch, and let me back up, over those criteria to become an affiliate, basically you have to have a certain amount of concurrent viewers. You have to stream for, I think it's 8 hours within that first 30 days. You have to have a certain number of followers. I think it's like 50 followers. And you have to have an average number of like 3 or 4 concurrent viewers. And there's one other thing. And just from talking and getting a chance to work with, be on a couple of webinars with Karen, she's like, it could take anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months. All depends on how often you go and stream. But she's like, you know, if you're only going to stream a few times, go to where your audience is. If they're on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, Twitch is more of a, I am going to become a streamer. This is going to be a channel that I'm going to build over time. And there are artists out there that are living off their Twitch streams. But the cool thing that just happened with Twitch is that they just partnered with SoundCloud, and any SoundCloud Pro member, if they sign up for Twitch, is now eligible for immediate affiliate status. So they don't have to meet that criteria. And so if SoundCloud Pro Unlimited, which in addition to that, SoundCloud, I think just literally cut that in half. So instead of like, you know, $12 a month, it's like $6 a month, or $8 a month if you do monthly. But so if you've got a SoundCloud account, or if you sign up for a SoundCloud Pro account, you can immediately, you know, be eligible. I think they still review it. There's some fine print in there, but you could literally then go over to Twitch, create your channel, and then start to bring your other social media folks over there to subscribe to your channel.
And when we're looking at like what they're doing, because you just said they're just kind of hanging out, it's kind of open format, correct? You could be playing, so I could be playing the guitar, I could be painting, I could just be sitting there talking to people, or I could actually be gaming as well once we tie back in doing other passions. Like if I'm a gamer or musician, I could game and play my own music, potentially.
There's a guy, I forget his name, but I literally follow him just because it was so interesting. But he is a musician and a powerlifter. And he will do different streams where he's doing music and he's playing the piano and he's hanging out, got a great voice. And then that's the other thing too, is like you're not locked into one type of stream. So like the next stream, he'll be powerlifting and talking about weights and his gains and all this kind of stuff. So it's like whatever combination of, even like we alluded to earlier, like what your skills are, if there's any sort of visual aspect to it, there's probably a home for it on Twitch. I've seen a lot of stuff the past couple weeks, but the whole AMSR quiet stuff where people are just like whispering and making, there are channels out there killing it, not making barely any noise. I'm like,
the crinkling of the paper, is that the shit you're talking about? It's so weird.
Yes. And there's like 2,700 people watching it, and I'm guilty because I was 2,701 for like 2 minutes, and then I freaked out. But excuse me. But there's an opportunity out there for, again, maybe musicians who might be in a band now who don't have a band that they, you know, can physically get to. And I've been fielding a lot of questions and just seeing a lot of stuff like, you know, how can my band perform together when we're all in different places? I'm like,
Right.
Look, if you can solve the latency issue, you know, let your boy know, and I will sing it to the heavens. But it's
Right.
like there's an opportunity there for people to pivot and have fun and still do music related things if they want,
Mhm.
but they don't have to. And I mentioned my wife and I started a channel last week. We literally decided the day before that we were just going to go live the next day. And, you know, obviously because I had had a chance to meet and talk to Karen, I kind of knew a couple of things to be able to start the channel. But we literally hang out. We do coffee and music. We hang out here in the studio and sing stuff a cappella. I play 4 songs on the keyboard that I can do. So, we play those or hang out with our son or whatever. But we're just kind of learning as we go. But that's the kind of thing that I was really intrigued about with Twitch, in addition to, where your fans might already be,
Right.
just on other social channels.
Cool. Very interesting. Does anybody else have any like things that work for their artists or just alternatives to these live events?
One thing that I launched recently was a $5 cover series, and I just put the number at $5 and then allowed people to Venmo me or Cash App me that with like a song title, an artist, and maybe a customized approach if they wanted me to do like a Bob Marley song as if Dave Grohl was doing it or something like that, and people have given so much more than $5 almost every time. I don't think, and maybe a few people gave $5 once, but they were people that like requested a lot of songs or like gave a donation somewhere else. So I've been pretty blown away by that. And I actually pursued that after talking with Evan, because I'm starting to build an actual branded cover catalog for licensing and publishing. And so this is a way that I can create content to immediately monetize. And I'm doing it at a studio quality level that I can then also put on YouTube, also put on IGTV, and then also hopefully put into Spotify playlists and look at some licensing sort of opportunities with it as well. And it's going great.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to you just have to ask for it. I'm not one to just say, hey, ask your fans for a handout, but create some kind of content around it, just like what Vinny did. And, just say, here's my Venmo. Like, if you like it, send me some cash, like, just like what Twitch is. Like, it's just having that available to kind of supplement that income is really what it should become first and foremost. Think of something cool.
Things with, if you guys know stageit.com.
Yeah.
I had done a couple things with them in the past, pre-pandemic. So I'm curious, and I would love feedback from everyone else on the panel too, because I'm curious, because like now I feel it's almost a negative thing to say like, hey, we're going to do a live streaming event that you have to buy a ticket to, when so many artists are just doing simple, free Facebook Live, Instagram Live, and they're not like asking for anything other than like getting what you said, like, hey, if you want to Venmo me $5, Venmo me $5, and then they do it as they want. Yeah. So I've been grappling with the whole idea of like, oh, we're just going to do a live stream like performance, but you have to pay like a $5 ticket, and then you get into that platform, and then tip when you're in there, and then you can do certain things for like the top 10 tippers or your number one tipper or whatever. So I haven't really decided where I stand on that
yet. Yeah. I will say that one of the other, I guess, features that kind of alludes to what Vinny was talking about too, is that there are literally like plugins and different things that you can, or extensions that you can add on to your Twitch. And mind you, I don't work for Twitch. It's just a new thing on my head. So, but I just see so much possibility in it. But there are streamer like song list extensions. So you can upload your song list category that you can play, and people can request a song off of your song list, and it will show on the screen what song has been requested. And multiple people can put money towards that to get like a song to the top that you can perform. So it's like literally gamifying requesting a song. And let me back up. Gamifying and monetizing requesting a song. You can set the limit for how many requests you want in your queue at a time. So if you're only going to be on for an hour or two, you might set your queue at 10 or something like that. So you have some controls on the back end, but then everybody can kind of see and play along and there's different things that you can do in the chats where people, you can actually see what the songs are and stuff like that. So there's a lot of interesting kind of things with that. And, you know, Stage It, I've had it, you know, been able to do a couple of concerts on Stage It. And, you know, while I think even just recently I saw out there that they're doing like a festival type of thing with some artists where they're like doing like 3 days worth of online concerts that people can buy tickets for. Like there's some cool ideas there, but yeah, it kind of, I feel like the whole, you know, as Evan has mentioned, like there's a shift. It's like I feel like the entire music industry has been like, the playing field has been leveled, and it's like obviously there's going to be people with deeper pockets and things like that, but it's like who can get closest to their fans most effectively and the quickest and most efficiently are going to be the ones that are probably still here afterwards. And you know, I'm hoping that there's still a lot of this online type of content and things that happen even after we're able to go to shows, because I've seen a ton of really cool artists that I never would have seen because they would have been on a stage somewhere, you know, thinking that, you know, social media is just a nice to have as opposed to, oh crap, I have to do this now.
Right.
So
Working as like an agent, we don't make money unless bands play shows. So when bands come to us asking what they should do, we've been encouraging writing, recording, sitting down, hungering your band, practicing your skills. So that way when we come back after the pandemic, our live shows come back really strong, bands will have new music, and that's where we've been pushing. Not saying that they shouldn't do the live streams, but a lot, like we have a band going to record for 6 weeks, and they're just going to be isolating themselves for 6 weeks to go record their new full length. And that's another way bands could use this time. So when we come back, they have all new material and they're ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah,
Do you feel that is there a concern amongst agents that the, I guess, how do I put this? Like the vast, easy access of live streaming, and there's no cost really associated, and fans can just like open their Instagram and see any sort of A-list, you know, artist doing a live concert on their Instagram for free. Do you feel like that's going to impact the tour business once everything gets ramped up again?
I think the live event experience and the in-person experience will always outweigh the digital. I see it the same way. Like I can hang out with my friends on FaceTime, but I would rather go to a bar with them. Yeah, I could watch Ariana Grande, but is that really me watching Ariana Grande at Coachella?
Right.
And there's so much there, and people, I think fans too, so badly want to be immersed that this is only going to last temporarily and only last for the diehard fans. People at the end of the day will still want to go to the concerts. They'll still want to see their friends. They'll still want everything a concert provides.
And they're going to be so stir crazy from having to be quarantined and staying in. They're going to be like, oh, we're done? Cool. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Can I throw an apocalyptic viewpoint out there? Let's say that not apocalyptic, but let's say that this lasts 3 to 6 months. You're talking about being stir crazy. That happens at week 3. What happens at week 6 when this is just how we understand life is now? We understand that life is mostly virtual and we live through a computer screen. Me and Evan, I mean, we run our business from different states. We already live through computer screens 50% more than other human beings do, simply because we have to. But as the entire world has to, I think the desire to go to live events, I really don't foresee it ever being the same. And kind of what Leonard's talking about, it will always be there. And yes, there are going to be the purists and the people that find that connection and are extroverts, and they have to get that engagement. But I can tell you, as being recently domesticated off of cruise ships, I'm 3-4 years deep into this sort of virtual lifestyle. And it is so normal to me now that when I think about being out, when I was out in the club 5 nights a week and playing 6 gigs a week, that I was a madman, that I was insane. I don't even relate that to that anymore. And that's a lot of factors. But I think the familiarity of this online engagement is going to do one of two things. It's going to take the extroverts and it's going to get them stir crazy and ready to engage again. And those people are going to be out. But those people that even list slightly towards introvert are going to dive deeper into things like Twitch. They're going to look into the platforms that can dive deeper into this experience. So it's not just us talking like we are on this web chat here, but you customize your emotes, you customize the way that you can do this and this dance and that dance. And the fact that online watching video games was comparable to the Super Bowl this year for the World Cup of video games for the Super Bowl, that tells me that this trend is only going to get deeper and bigger and more important. And that's the ride that I'm ready to take.
I don't know if it's gonna like. I totally get what you're saying, but I don't know as a what do they call it, an extroverted introvert.
I'm just using that as kind of the dividing line, but just basically people that have different emotions about re-entering into society. Maybe people find comfort in this new virtual world, you know?
I don't know if it's gonna take away. I think to Nina's point, I don't know if it's gonna take away just the sort of primal, for lack of a better phrase, need of human interaction. I think the virtual world is so cool because it connects people who are all over the country like we are right now. But I think at the end of the day, and again, like I've worked from home for now like 5 years straight, where it's only now starting to I was like, I need to get out. I think it was like a couple weeks ago, even before the whole like stay at home, work from home, whatever. I was like, it's Friday. I am going to a bar. I'm hanging out with my friends. I need to get out of my apartment. And I probably lean more towards introvert than extrovert. Maybe I think like you said, like 10 years ago, I'd be out every night. Now, hey, I'm in my 40s. I don't have the energy to do that anymore. I think it's more of that than like being an antisocial, whatever. But I still like crave like just to go out, and even if it's an empty dive bar with one other person, perfect. Get me out of here.
Before I started in my current position, I was actively touring, and my last tour before I took on this new job was with YouTubers and Twitch streamers. I was with 2 gamers, and we did sold out shows in every market. And that's including small markets like Pittsburgh. We were sold out everywhere. Fans were lining up at 8 in the morning, and that was their first ever tour, and they did 5 legs. And that's where even then, those people exist solely on the internet on their first ever tour in person, selling out venues all over country. Our merch heads were about $40 a person.
Come on.
I was the merch manager, trust me. And that is just something you cannot, even people who exist solely on the internet, if you get them so into their thing, they will come out, they will spend the tickets, they'll come sit all day, they will watch this live show, and they will leave so happy because even the introverts still want some sort of outside fulfillment. So that's what I'm saying is I see it going down, but you're going to get more diehard fans right now.
Yeah, I feel like the scale is more like tip that way. Nina, will you explain what the per head merch and what the relative scale of like normal to what you said $40 a head?
Yeah, so I worked as a merch manager for about 4 years, from anyone from small artists up to say almost arena sized, either touring or locally. But a per head is how much money you make per person in the venue. So if you have a 300 cap club and you sell it out 300 people and you make $3,000 in merch, that is $10 per head. I would say around a $750 a head in merch means you're doing pretty well in merch. Depends on the genre, depends on the age group, depends on how much you're selling your merch for. I'd say for a small artist, $4 a head is a good goal. So when we're saying $10 is good, when I'm saying we would do $40 in merch, we would sell out, we would get shipments every day.
Hence my reaction.
Kids would come up to our merch tables and buy everything because they loved these YouTubers and streamers so much. Because they were so introverted, this was really their only outlet. And they've already given them everything online. So now they're willing to pay premium dollar for the
And I-
live
And
experience.
I assume the merch at the live events was exclusive to the live events and not available online.
Yes.
Smart. I like that.
Once again, that proves exactly what I'm saying, is that this platform is potentially the most powerful heading into the future. This online engagement and building that day-to-day engagement and living in that place makes the live events, yes, the attendance is still great, but it's because those guys focused on the platforms that were most productive and obviously are creating fanatical type reactions. So I think you're just proving what I said.
Yeah, I think it's just opening up the possibility to a lot of these artists that just thought, the way that it worked is you had to play a show where you weren't a real artist. But then they'd go to Nina and she'd book them on a show and they'd bring 3 people. It's like, hey, build that first. You can build a virtual reality of that online through Twitch or Instagram Live or StreamYard is really great.
And
These
really,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that it really could, like, this time allows you to make those fans who streamed once diehard fans. So when we come back to live events in the fall, it comes back full force.
And imagine if you're an artist and you let's say I'm an artist and I go to Nina to get booked and you say, cool, what are your numbers? Oh, I've never played a show before. But what if I came and said, I've never played a show before, but I have 5,000 people on my Twitch that, I feel like those numbers as an agent, those are still going to like hold some weight. Like, hey, if I say they're going to come out to an event, they're ready. Like that
We just
matters.
had rappers do a co-headline tour. We sold out 80% of the markets. Never toured before, solely existed on SoundCloud, solely existed on the internet, and we sold out almost 80% of the shows, including markets like Salt Lake City and St. Louis. And that was, we picked up, we had to sell this to promoters being like, come on, look at their numbers. They have 1 million followers on SoundCloud.
How do you gauge that though? Because I have in I'm gonna
Leap of faith.
What's that?
That's how we gauged it. It was a leap of faith. We believed that this would sell.
For me, like back when Alan Stone started touring, it was really early on, and promoters had no idea who he was. We, unaware. His video, the live one, kind of went viral. The only thing I had to gauge was iTunes, his iTunes report, and I'm not talking about streaming. I'm talking like it was, if you wanted to consume his music or any music, it was you buy the CD or you purchase an MP3 based single or album on iTunes. That was it. That sounds like a long time ago, but it really, sadly, it really wasn't. And so I can look at people who are engaging with their actual money, like, oh, Atlanta is our number 3 market in the country, but the Atlanta promoter doesn't know who he is, and so he's given us 2 options of a deal. He's given us a $500 guarantee versus, like 60% on the back end, or he's given us 90% from $1 with no guarantee. At that time, I could look at that and say, like, well, we're gonna roll the dice and take 90% from $1 because this is number 3 market in the world, and this is where people are actually like, I'm gonna spend $10 on the album on iTunes versus now, whether it's Spotify or Apple Music or SoundCloud or whatever, you can look and say like, oh, like Cinder's number 1 market is Chicago, even though I'm not from there. And we have, 3,000 monthly listeners. And to gauge now what size room to go into or how to structure the deal, it's so different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for SoundCloud or for Twitch, like everyone, what you were saying is like, oh, we have X number of followers on Twitch. Nina, to you, like, how do you gauge like what rooms to go into or how many that's going to translate from a passive sort of fan to like someone who's going to spend $15, $20 on a ticket?
Would you like me to answer this as a promoter or an agent?
Both.
Both.
Okay. So as a promoter, I work a lot in like alternative rock music when I was booking shows. So the main thing I would look at there is how many streamers do they have on Spotify, because that tends to be the largest platform. That's just like the basic, you do 10%. So if they have 3,000 followers, you put them in a 300 cap room in that market. So if they have 3,000 listeners in Chicago, 300 cap room.
Okay.
That's cool.
When it comes down to like an agent, I'm obviously going to want maybe depending on what the outcome of the tour is, what we're trying to sell. If we're trying to sell an underplay, we want a sold out show. Like, I would look at that 300 and make sure we do smaller rooms around 200. If not, then I'm trying to upsell it to promoters being like, they have 3,000 listeners in Chicago, let's go bigger. 3,000 people are going to come out. That's where like Twitch and YouTube's another big one where you see music video views, you see how many come up the first day. But it's really all a gamble. We had no idea what the SoundCloud rapper would draw, but our promoters and us, I keep talking about the agent promoter trust. That line of trust of us being like, come on, trust us, this will sell. The kids love it. There's 1 million views. Like, 1 million's hard to argue with.
Yeah.
Even if 100 kids showed up, that scales it for all of us for the future to know that 1 million followers on SoundCloud equals 100 people showing up. And so this was a testing ground for all of us to see what we could really do.
I think it's tough though too with Spotify in particular that you mentioned. I'm just going to be honest; those can be faked. Those monthly listeners sometimes don't mean shit. So
yeah, but
as a
know the
promoter,
real
right?
ones.
Right. Yeah, you'll gauge with everything if you get a bird's eye view, but like the monthly listeners, I mean, you put that in a click farm and they could be fake. It's just a stream. So it is kind of hard.
The ratio of monthly listeners to followers.
Mm-hmm.
Some people like to see like a 3% ratio. I'm more like in the 10% range. I think that shows real fan retention, where they're discovering the artist in whatever playlist, whether it's Discover Weekly, an algorithm thing, or a third-party thing, where it's, I hear the song, I love it, I'm going to click follow. Granted, the gap between like discovering and clicking on a button is very short versus clicking on a button and buying a ticket, which is the major gap that I think that we're seeing now. But I'd much rather see, like, if I see someone that's like, I have 500,000 monthly listeners, I'm like, great, how many Spotify followers? Like, how many did you retain from whatever playlist you paid to get on? You have 30 followers, it's not cool.
Or like song 1 to song 2. How many streams are on your top song? If it's like 1 million and your song 2 has 3,000, big red flag.
Right. Correct.
Saves are a good metric as well. How many saves? Because you physically have to go and save it to your profile if you like that song. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't view saves, right? Like if I'm looking up an artist to
but you could request it because the artist can see that on a certain song or something. But it's another metric on Spotify, because Spotify can be tricky because it's a lot of unknowns there. But cool.
You can always see it on like Instagram and Facebook too, when it's like, oh, we have like 50,000 likes on Facebook, but we get like 3 comments per post. Like, are you sure?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I've got some questions coming in here. So we kind of covered this already. Is their focus during this? Seems like live streaming is the answer. More content, more fan engagement, things like that. Anything else you guys think is worth mentioning in here?
One thing that I've been recommending for people is focusing on their online equity in other ways. Obviously, streaming and engaging direct is a really good thing, but things like as simple as let's say if you happen to be in a cover band, somebody in the comments was mentioning that they're in a wedding band as their side gig. Encouraging people that are on lockdown to funnel positive verified reviews to those online booking platforms to be prepared for when these dates open and these holds start to open up. That's something that is always valuable. Building your metrics. Not when I say building your metrics, what I mean is this. You can obviously focus on what everybody says. Go like my Facebook. Go follow me on Instagram. But the idea is this. You want to create a web from YouTube to Instagram, from Instagram to Facebook, from Facebook to your newsletter. And you want to just not only get your existing fans more connected to that web and make sure that they are a metric on every platform, but you also want to hone in how intimate that relationship is, to where you can reach out to these people via newsletter, via DM, via chat, text message marketing, and build up that social proof in whatever way you can right now, because once the floodgates are open, it's going to be a really competitive market.
For sure. Yeah, and I think it just comes down to, like what you said, moving them through your funnel, taking them from one social media platform to another instead of bombarding them like, here's all of my shit, go and follow me everywhere.
Right.
It kind of, it adds, you're going deeper with them and creating some, so that when you're like, hey, I want you to come live on a Twitch, because to show up live for something even online is not something you ask for first. You kind of have to lead into that. Cool. All right, I want to open up the Q&As. I'd love to bring some people in here who have questions that maybe want to turn on their video or just audio. If you want to join the conversation, make it a little bit more like a real panelist where they're walking up to the mic and stuff. So let me know if you want to do that. Just raise your hand in the chat and I will bring you in. Otherwise, we can just answer them from the Q&A box. I've got one here on the Q&A box from Lena that says, do you think crowdfunding will be effective for artists now? And also best licensing opportunities companies you would recommend. So let's attack that first, crowdfunding effectiveness.
I say give it a week.
Crowdfunding is ever, like, I would never suggest crowdfunding in general. I would always say go do something else. Like go record a new song, put it out and try and monetize that.
Right.
Go drop a new merch item.
Yeah, don't look like a charity. Don't look like a charity case. Don't play that starving artist card. I mean, it's true. A lot of artists are going to be financially hurting, but a lot of human beings are going to be hurting in a lot of different ways. So the idea of asking for charity through a crowdfunding site, while meanwhile they are all tightening up the requirements to even qualify to sign up for it, because everybody's flooding to those sites right now. Patreon, GoFundMe, Kickstarter, they're all changing their policies and they're going to continue to change as more information comes out through the next week. So yeah, provide value first. Don't have your hand out without offering something that you can monetize. I like how Nina put that.
Yeah. I was just going to chime in. I'm like, I feel like it's going to be a lot less effective now. Obviously, there's a lot more awareness of it and there's a lot more live streams with tip jars and stuff like that. I kind of think that's kind of the new crowdfunding because it's an immediate value for tip there. It's like I'm providing songs instantly as opposed to I'm going to go create these levels of things and have you sign into a platform. But yeah, I think with people losing jobs and just, people being shut in, I definitely think the crowdfunding effectiveness anyway will be diminished a lot now because like Vinny said, it's going to definitely look a lot more handouty than than it may have even before.
I think crowdfunding is appropriate when your van breaks down, if your guitar gets stolen, when something happened that you need an immediate response to, not as like a general form of income or way to build income.
I unfollow bands that crowdfund for their band. I'm not gonna lie. When I see a band do that, I unfollow them. I'm not a fan of them anymore. You shouldn't be out on the road if you can't handle your shit. I'm not on that team.
I wish you would tell me more how you feel, Vinny. I don't.
Hey, someone's got to be the Simon Cowell here, so it might as well be the American Idol guy.
I love it.
And the second part of that question, licensing opportunities. We talked a lot about that in the chat yesterday. I'll give everybody information ASAP on how you can access that. But one that Nate Rose brought up was Artlist, artlist.io. There's So Stereo, Song Trader is a good one. All of those are free. So any other licensing opportunities, companies that you guys are aware of?
Off the top of my head.
Cool. I would start with those three. But yeah, thanks, Lena. From an anonymous attendee, it says, is TikTok important for artists right now to gain fans and followers? Anybody with insight on TikTok?
I just started digging into TikTok like maybe, it was a while ago, but I kept telling Cinder to get into it. And it's really, I don't know. I've heard stories about people sort of have sort of their launch moment because they go viral on TikTok. I think there was an artist, what's his name, Abso Facto. Is that ring a bell? And he had like a song that had already done well like years ago that like had a sort of resurgence, and now he's like back on top sort of thing because of TikTok. But I haven't. The demographic for TikTok is clearly like I don't fit in it in any way. And so for me to like sort of mess around with it, I'm like, I'm clearly not their target demographic. But Cinder's fan base, their demographic is perfectly in line with it. So that's an answer without giving an answer. Sorry.
Right. I think there's, go ahead, Nina.
I was gonna say, as someone who is the target, or I'm a little bit older than I think the target market is for TikTok, but we all have TikTok in my office because so many of our artists, that is where they are popping off. We had an artist go from 200 cap rooms to 1,000 cap rooms in less than 6 months because of TikTok and their fans coming out. And these are all ages shows with fans as young as 13. I think TikTok is important if it aligns with your brand, it aligns with your demographic. Don't put all your eggs in one basket and assume you're going to get big off TikTok. But if you feel that there's a benefit to putting yourself out there, definitely test it out.
Right. I think there's two parts to TikTok. There's the user and the content creator side. And then there's you as an artist providing music for those content creators. Now you can be both of those. I've seen artists do both. They create content on their own page, but to get big off of TikTok, you don't necessarily have to have a TikTok user page. You just have to have a strategy to try to reach out to these influencers and say, hey, you have a shitload of followers and you like hip hop music. I'm a hip hop artist. You know, would you maybe use my song on one of your pieces of content? If that happens, then what will happen is there'll be a trickle effect. Everybody who follows the million people that follow that person will be like, damn, that's a good song. I'm going to use it too. They can easily press use this song and create their own content out of it. And then it spirals from there. But don't think that if you want to get your music on TikTok, you don't necessarily have to create content, because honestly, from what I've seen, it's like a full-time job creating content on that thing and trying to figure out what works, hacking the algorithm. And, you know, most of the content on there is just people just dancing and just being weird. So
Yeah.
you don't have to do both if you don't want to. Just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah, Nina, do you know this particular artist that you're referring to that went from, what was it, 200 to 1,000 in 6 months? What option, sort of what strategy they took that Evan just brought up? Was it they were creating content or people were using their music?
Their song ended up on TikTok and people started using it.
Got it.
Right.
Were they actively reaching out to
No.
influencers? No?
It happened on accident.
Nice. The best accident.
A great example I have is I think maybe heard the song Roxanne by Arizona Zervas. That popped off on TikTok, and he didn't even have a TikTok page. So you absolutely can get that music in circulation. And to get it on TikTok, you just need to, go with the right distributor. Most of them will put it on TikTok nowadays. CD Baby just announced that they're doing it. DistroKid's always done it. So first things first is get it on, make it accessible for people to find it. But yeah, that's cool, Nina, that it just kind of happened on accident. That's the best way for it to happen.
Same thing with YouTube. You can put up a video on YouTube, and if it gets put on the right playlist, I mean, it's just TikTok's the same as any other streaming service or video content service. You could have one viral tweet, and that might be what takes you to the next level of success.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Cool. Got another one saying, when releasing new music as a small independent artist, is it important to pay a PR to promote me and my music and look and sound?
Well, first off, I'd like to mention that we've actually got a music publicity day coming up. Is that day 4, Evan?
It's tomorrow. Yeah.
It's okay. So we're going to definitely deep dive into that with some amazing panelists. So I don't think we need to dive into that too much right now, but what I would say is this: every aspect of what you do should be sustainable, and it should be realistic according to what budget you have. So if you are at step 1 I got to say paying a PR company is like step 27. And a lot of people are not ready for that. If you have a budget and you're considering using that to chat with PR or pay a blog writer, I've done this. I've paid 600, 750 to different people, and it was not valuable. If I could go back, I would have gotten stickers, business cards. I would have looked at foundational things I needed in my budget before considering that.
Yeah. In my short conversation with a couple of the panelists on other chats, the music publicist, I mean, you need a story, and that story needs to be something more than I'm releasing music, because get in line. Everybody's releasing music. Their job is to get a cool story to these media outlets that are going to spin it the right way. Like, you're on a show like Rhythm and Flow, you're on a reality show, maybe something happened in your life. If you don't really have that, I'm not saying make something up, but that's what they're looking for. They want a story to push, and you just being an artist, unfortunately, a lot of times isn't enough for blogs to give a shit about.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna have to direct this one at Nina because of the context.
I don't think you have to direct this one at me, but let me hear it.
I want to get your take first. Let me be clear.
Right.
As a female artist, should we really push our look and sensuality as well as our music? As in sexy posts and sexy covers. All successful female artists do this, and I feel like I need to step up, give the people what they want. Want as well as good music. Is this necessary or diminishing?
I truly don't what's your brand? Sell your brand. If that's what you want your brand to be, then go for it. I don't think the same could go for male artists. Some male artists thrive off of their sexuality. And if you want to be the girly grunge band and baggy sweatshirts and jeans and whatnot, you don't feel like you have to create an image you're not comfortable with just because you're a female.
And I think the underlying issue here is this necessary or diminishing? And to me, what I hear there is we're talking about integrity and decisions of how you want to put yourself forward. You have to define those with your values internally, and then, like you said, decide on the business front how you want to be. Right now, it is hot, obviously. Lizzo, J-Lo, this, that, the other thing. Sex sells. It is a part of the entertainment industry. And if you're in this industry, and I've seen highs and lows in my career because of my level of attractiveness on the male side, I can't speak for females. I was most successful when I was at my peak physical condition and my peak attractive level. Networking came easier. Finding new fans came easier. Creating new business relationships came easier. And there's stats to prove it. So acknowledge that image and that vanity that comes along with being an entertainer is always going to be at play, but focus on your values and how willing you are to bend those to get further.
Absolutely. And I want to speak to I feel like I need to step up and give the people what they want. To quote the great Steve Jobs, that people don't know what they want until you give it to them. So do your brand. Just as Nina said, if your brand is that, go with it. But if you're going to feel uncomfortable doing it, it's probably not your brand. So take some introspection for sure.
I think for me, and it's not just about sort of, sexuality or attractiveness or whatever. I think artists struggle with giving the people what they want, and that could mean a slew of different things. It's not just about your physical appearance. And I'm always, and maybe to a fault, so much of a purist in the authenticity world. I strongly believe that if you write a song that you don't absolutely believe in and love, you're the one on stage selling it. You're the one that has to really believe in it. And if you don't, I don't think there's going to be a disconnect with your audience. So for me, I think in regards to any aspect that an artist is like, oh, should I do this or that? Which one is more authentic to you? Which one is actually like Nina said, what's your brand? And your brand should be, in my opinion, of course, again, I'm more of a purist, like your brand should be authentic. It should be real. Like it shouldn't be contrived or forced or based on like, oh, this worked for that artist, so therefore I'm going to follow in their footsteps. Because then you're just the Pepsi to the Coke.
Absolutely. Cool. Well said. All right, guys, I'm just going to wrap up. We went real long. I appreciate your time, honestly. But just as a wrap up, you guys, in order to get those full replays, I want to invite you to join our membership for free. It'll be a free membership for 30 days. It's artistcollect.com/industry chat. Trainings just like this. We do walkthroughs on basic things like using licensing companies or putting your music out on DistroKid, some things that you might, be a confusing part of your career. We can try to help with that. Also be snippets on the new Music Industry Chat podcast. Get it on anchor.fm/industry chat or anywhere you listen to a podcast. And tomorrow, same time, noon, we are talking with Music Publicity. Basically how to spin it specifically to this pandemic. You see a lot of clickbait stuff. I don't kind of want to pick the brains of these music publicists on what their approach with their artists are and big companies that they work with. Ariel here works with the Super Bowl, VH1, BET, and we've got Mark he's going to be calling in from Amsterdam, who is a music marketer, and how he's using this to kind of craft cool, engaging ads that are responsible. And again, like I said, not clickbaity. You don't want to confuse people or mislead them. But for today, I appreciate you guys so much. This was lots of gems, and I will. Any final words?
Wash your hands.
Perfect.
I would say hunker down. Get used to this being what our world looks like for the next 3 to 6 months. That's my official opinion on it. People thinking this is only going to last 2 months don't quite understand how bad the hotels and restaurants and general service industry people are hurting right now. So hunker down, do everything you can to reinforce your fan base to prepare for a world where live events are a priority again.
And yeah, I would say too that, there's a really big difference between change and transition. And the change, it's an external thing. It's an event that has happened and it's what we can see, and things have changed. And the transition is the internal process, and it's us getting used to how things are going to be. And as Vinny and all the others have alluded to, it's like the more quickly and effectively and just efficiently you can transition to this is the way it's going to be, I think you'll be more effective and you'll be more profitable, if you want to say that too, but just more effective in the long run. The quicker you can kind of let go of the fact that you just, maybe lost 10 gigs last week. If you're still focusing on those 10 gigs, you've probably just missed out on some opportunities that are ahead of you. So just try to pivot more so than panic and see what you can make happen.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, thanks again, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks,
Peace.
Evan.
Yeah, no problem. Bye.
Nice to
guys.
meet you. See ya.